She almost didn't go that night. That's the thing about the moments that change your life. They almost don't happen. You're tired. You have excuses. You tell yourself there will be other nights. And then something makes you go anyway. And everything changes. Maya was 28 years old and she was tired. Not just physically tired, deeply tired. The kind of tired that comes from spending 3 years in the wrong job, the wrong city, the wrong version of your life. She had moved to London for a relationship that ended 8 months after she arrived. She had stayed because leaving felt like giving up. She had built a life there. A small flat, a job she didn't love, a few good friends, and a routine that kept her moving without really going anywhere. On the night everything changed, she was sitting on her sofa in her pajamas at 7 in the evening, fully prepared to watch something on her laptop and go to bed early. Her phone buzzed. It was her friend Priya. "Come tonight, my friend's gallery opening. It'll be good." Maya typed, "I'm tired," and then deleted it. She typed, "Maybe next time," and deleted that too. She put her phone down. She picked it up again. "What time?" The gallery was in East London, in a building that used to be a factory. The walls were white and high, the lights were warm, and the room was full of people holding glasses of wine and talking in the way people talk at these events, half looking at the art, half looking at each other. Maya didn't know anyone except Priya. She followed her friend from painting to painting, nodding at things she found interesting and saying, at things she didn't understand. She was thinking about going home, and then she saw the photograph. It was large, almost as tall as she was, and it showed a street in Tokyo at night. Rain on the pavement, neon lights reflected in the puddles, a single figure walking away, holding an umbrella, surrounded by the blur of the city. There was something about it that stopped her completely. She stood in front of it for a long time. "It's called Somewhere Else," said a voice beside her. She turned. A man was standing next to her, also looking at the photograph. He was tall with dark hair and glasses, and he was holding a glass of wine he hadn't touched. "Do you know the photographer?" she asked. "I am the photographer," he said. His name was Daniel. He had grown up in London but spent years traveling. Japan, Brazil, Morocco, Iceland, taking photographs of cities at night. He said he was interested in the feeling of being somewhere new, the mix of excitement and loneliness that comes with being a stranger in a city. "That's exactly what this photograph feels like," Maya said. "Like you're in the most interesting place in the world and completely alone at the same time." He looked at her. "Yes, exactly that." They talked for the rest of the evening about photography and cities and the strange feeling of belonging nowhere and everywhere at the same time. About Tokyo, which Maya had never visited but had always wanted to. About London, which they both lived in but experienced so differently. Priya found Maya 2 hours later, deep in conversation, and raised her eyebrows with a small smile. Maya ignored her. When the gallery started to empty, Daniel asked if she wanted to get coffee. They walked to a small cafe around the corner and sat there until midnight, talking about things she hadn't talked about with anyone in a long time. Her life in London, the job she didn't love, the feeling that she was waiting for something without knowing what. He listened in a way that made her feel heard. Not just politely, actually heard. "What would you do," he asked, "if you weren't afraid?" She thought about it for a long time. "I'd leave my job. I'd travel for a while. I'd try to figure out what I actually want instead of just doing what makes sense." "So why don't you?" "Because it's terrifying." "Yes," he said, "it is." They exchanged numbers outside the cafe. He was going to Iceland the following week for a new project. She told him to take good photographs. She walked home alone through the quiet streets, thinking about the photograph of Tokyo. Somewhere else. She went to sleep thinking about it too. He texted her from Iceland. Just a photograph, a black and white image of a frozen lake, completely still, with mountains behind it. No words. She looked at it for a long time and then typed, "It looks like silence." He replied, "Exactly." They texted every day after that, about small things. What they were eating, what they were reading, something funny that happened at work. About big things. What they believed in, what scared them, what they hoped for. When he came back to London 3 weeks later, they went for dinner, and then dinner again, and then a walk along the river on a Sunday afternoon that lasted 4 hours, because neither of them wanted it to end. He showed her London through his eyes, the parts she had never noticed in 3 years of living there. An old churchyard hidden behind a busy street, a market that only opened on Sunday mornings, a rooftop you could reach through a door that was always unlocked, with a view of the whole city at sunset. She started seeing London differently, started seeing her own life differently. 3 months after the gallery opening, she handed in her notice at work. Her manager asked if she had another job lined up. She said not yet. He looked concerned. She felt free. She started doing what she had been afraid to do, writing. She had always wanted to write. She had told herself for years that it wasn't practical, that it wasn't a real career, that she wasn't good enough. She started writing anyway, small things at first, then bigger things. Daniel never told her to do it. He never pushed or advised. He just made her feel like the person she wanted to be was already there, just waiting to be allowed out. "You're different lately," Priya told her one evening. "Different how?" "Lighter, like something you were carrying is gone." Maya thought about that, about the sofa, the pajamas, the almost didn't go, the photograph of Tokyo, the voice beside her that said, "I am the photographer." 1 year after the gallery opening, Daniel had an exhibition of his own. A full exhibition, 40 photographs, a proper opening, his name on the wall. Maya stood in the middle of the room and looked around at everything he had made and felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Proud. Not of herself, of someone else, of who he was and what he had made and the fact that she got to be there. He found her in the middle of the crowd. He took her hand without saying anything. They stood together looking at the photographs. Cities at night, strangers in the rain, lights reflected in puddles. And she thought about the first night, standing in front of the image of Tokyo. Somewhere else. She had spent so long wanting to be somewhere else, a different city, a different job, a different life. And somehow, without planning it, without forcing it, she had found something better than somewhere else. She had found somewhere she actually wanted to be. The gallery was warm and full of people, and the wine was good, and her friend Priya was somewhere in the crowd, and the man beside her was still holding her hand. She almost didn't go that night. She was so glad she did.